I'm a 17-year-old female who graduated high school a year early. Instead of taking a break, I decided to dive straight into college. Last year, I completed a semester at a community college to get ahead, and now I've moved on to campus to finish my degree. Before leaving, I lived with my mom, who's 43, and her husband Jack, 50. I moved in with them halfway through high school because I wanted to be closer to my younger siblings, Patricia, a tween, and Adam, a pre-tween, before life got busier and I had less time for family. While I loved being near my brother and sister, living with Jack was incredibly challenging. From the very beginning, it was clear that Jack and his family didn't like me. When he and my mom got together, they made me feel like an outsider. At family gatherings, I was invited but ignored. I'd have a seat at the table, but no one talked to me. Instead of being in family photos, I was the one asked to take them. Whenever I tried to join in or connect, I was told that it was just for the family, a phrase that stung every time. Things became worse after my siblings were born. Jack's family warmly embraced them, showering them with love and attention, while making it blatantly clear they didn't want anything to do with me. Jack himself would plan family outings but either leave me at home or tell me outright that I wasn't invited. One of the most hurtful moments came on Mother's Day a few years ago. Jack's sister gave my mom a locket with pictures of Patricia and Adam, saying it was so she could always keep her two children close to her heart. My mom didn't even glance at me, let alone acknowledge the hurt I was feeling. After that, I stopped trying. I realized I'd never truly be part of this new family because they simply didn't want me there. Over the past year, I began quietly packing my things, either sending them to my dad's house or preparing them for when I moved to college. On Sunday, the day finally came for me to leave. I packed everything up and left for my dorm, ready to focus on my own life and leave behind a situation where I always felt unwanted. Despite the challenges, I'm excited for this fresh start and the chance to build a future on my own terms. I plan to take all my stuff in my car and drive myself to campus for move-in day. My dad met me there, and we spent the day decorating my dorm room together. My mom, however, thought I was just spending the weekend with my dad. When I called to let her know I wouldn't be coming back because I had already moved into my dorm, she got really upset. I had mentioned the move-in date to her weeks ago, but I guess she either forgot or didn't think it was real. She assumed this was just a typical weekend trip. She told me it was hurtful that I excluded her from such a significant moment in my life, adding that as my mom, it's her job to be there for milestones like this. I didn't hold back when I replied. I reminded her that she's been letting her husband, Jack, exclude me from her life since the moment they started dating. Because it never seemed to bother her, I honestly didn't think it would matter if I didn't involve her in this part of my life either. At first, I felt justified saying this. It's what I've been feeling for years. But I could hear the hurt in her voice, and now I'm questioning myself. Maybe I was too harsh. Maybe I went too far. For so long, I felt like an outsider in my own family, and my mom never stepped in to defend or include me. Every time Jack or his family left me out, she didn't say, "This is my child too," or insist I be included in pictures or events. She chose to keep the peace with Jack, even though it hurt me. It felt like my relationship with her took a back seat, so she could keep harmony in her new family. Now, she's upset and acting like I'm the one who shut her out, but isn't this just the consequence of her own choices? I've tried to rationalize it. Maybe Jack's family never warmed up to me because I was older. Maybe it was just easier for my mom to keep things smooth with them instead of standing up for me. But honestly, how do you exclude a child, especially one as young as I was when all of this started? It doesn't make sense to me, and it feels cruel that they carried on like that for years. In hindsight, I realize my mom probably feels guilty. But I can't carry the burden of her guilt. I told her the date I'd be moving into my dorm multiple times. If being there was important to her, she would have remembered. She's dealing with the consequences of the choices she made long ago, and while I don't wish her pain, I also can't pretend it's all my fault. At the end of the day, I'm just trying to live my life and move forward. I'll always love my mom, but I've spent too long feeling like I don't belong in her world. Now, it's time to create a world of my own where I do belong. I felt conflicted about the anniversary of my nephew's passing. It was such a heavy and emotional day for my family. At the same time, I couldn't help feeling a little down about not being able to celebrate my birthday the way I used to. My girlfriend noticed this and wanted to do something to make me feel loved, even in a small way. That morning, I went to my sister Ashley's house to support her. She's still deeply grieving the loss of her son, and I wanted to be by her side. I stayed with her until almost lunchtime when my mom came to take over. We didn't want Ashley to be alone, but it wasn't possible for anyone to stay with her all day. After spending time with her, I went to work as usual. Later that evening, my girlfriend surprised me with something small and intimate at home, a candlelit dinner and a little cake. It was just the two of us, quiet and low-key. She wanted to acknowledge my birthday in a way that felt meaningful, but still respected the somber tone of the day. I didn't post anything on social media about it because I knew my family wasn't in the best place emotionally. However, my girlfriend shared a simple picture of us holding hands and the dinner she prepared, captioned with "Happy Birthday, Love." The next morning, I woke up to a storm of angry texts from my mom and Ashley. They were furious, accusing me of being heartless and insensitive for celebrating my birthday on such a sad day. They couldn't believe I would do something like that while my sister was in such a bad state. I explained it wasn't a big celebration and that the dinner was a surprise planned by my girlfriend, but they weren't willing to hear me out. They called me cold and said I should have refused to celebrate at all. What made it hurt even more was realizing that neither of them had remembered my birthday in the first place. No one in my family acknowledged it at all. I felt torn. On one hand, I understood the weight of the day for Ashley and the rest of my family. But on the other, I felt I had done my best to balance everything. I spent part of the day supporting my sister, worked, and then had a quiet, private moment with my girlfriend. It wasn't a wild party or anything extravagant. My girlfriend was thoughtful and respectful, and the small celebration meant a lot to me. I wonder if Ashley expects me to never celebrate my birthday again because of the timing. I sympathize with her pain, but is it fair for me to completely ignore my own life every year? Losing her child was devastating, and I've tried my best to support her, but I can't help feeling like this backlash over a small dinner is unreasonable. I didn't mean to hurt anyone, but it feels like I can't win. I wanted to respect my family's grief while still acknowledging something important to me. If I'm honest, I'm glad I celebrated in the way that I did, even if they don't see it that way. Of course, if I were in her position, I wouldn't expect to celebrate a birthday for at least a year or two after such a significant loss. However, I also wouldn't lash out at someone for having a small, personal celebration with their significant other. That reaction feels unfair. While I understand my mom is grieving her grandson, it's also her daughter's birthday. She can't let my special day be forgotten every single year, especially when birthdays have always been a big family tradition for everyone else. This reminds me of what happened at my wedding. I'm someone who loves paying attention to detail, and my husband and I meticulously planned every part of our big day. From the decorations to the outfits, everything was meant to follow a cohesive color scheme of pink and black. I wanted the wedding photos to look polished and harmonious, so I asked all of our close family members, including my parents and grandparents, to dress in colors that matched the theme. Everyone seemed on board when I explained my vision. My husband's grandparents even went shopping together to find matching outfits in the wedding colors, which I thought was so sweet. It made me happy to see how much effort they put in to be part of our special day. My mom and I went shopping with my own grandparents to help them pick out the perfect outfits. I also offered to go shopping with my mother-in-law to make sure she found something that matched the color scheme. She declined, saying she wanted to shop with her friends instead, and I trusted her to follow through. When she told my mom at the rehearsal dinner that she was wearing a long dress in the wedding colors, I assumed everything was fine. Fast forward to the wedding day. I was in the bridal suite getting ready when my mother-in-law walked in. My jaw dropped. She was wearing a royal purple ball gown that was completely outside the color scheme. On top of that, she had done her makeup in a way that felt completely over the top, neon blue eyeshadow and bright pink lipstick. Her husband, my father-in-law, was wearing a matching purple tie. It was so jarring that they stuck out like a sore thumb compared to everyone else. I was furious but decided to bite my tongue. I didn't want their choice of outfits to ruin my wedding day. Later, during the photos, my father-in-law asked me how he looked. I couldn't hold back and replied, "You and mother-in-law look like big, sore purple thumbs." He seemed confused and asked what I meant, so I explained that they knew about the dress code but still decided to wear something that made them stand out in every photo. He said he just wore what his wife picked out for him and promised to talk to her about it. My mother-in-law confronted me later that evening, asking what my problem was. I asked her why she lied about her outfit choice when she told my mom she was wearing something in the wedding colors. She admitted that she never bought a dress to match the color scheme. Instead, she chose the purple dress because it felt more true to her, and that's what mattered most. I tried to let it go and told her that it was fine. I'd just fix the pictures in post-production to make everything cohesive. That's when she got upset. She told me I wasn't allowed to edit anything in the photos because they helped pay for the photography. According to her, any changes would be disrespectful and unacceptable. Her blatant disregard for our plans and her insistence on standing out at our wedding left me feeling hurt and disrespected. While I understand that she wanted to express herself, a wedding isn't just about one person's individuality. It's about celebrating the couple and their vision for the day. Her actions made it feel like she valued her preferences more than respecting us on our special day. During the wedding, after the confrontation with my mother-in-law, I made it clear that any pictures I personally post featuring her would be altered on my end. She and my father-in-law have no control over what I do with the photos I share. After saying my piece, I excused myself and focused on enjoying the rest of my wedding day, refusing to let her antics ruin the event. Unfortunately, my mother-in-law has a long history of making situations about herself. She loves to drop little comments like, "Well, I am the mother of the groom, so my opinion counts, or I can make decisions too. I'm the groom's mother after all." She even tried to justify her interference by reminding us that they were contributing financially to the wedding. In reality, my parents paid for 80% of the wedding. My in-laws' contributions included covering the photographer and the rehearsal dinner. The photographer was a friend of theirs and only charged $1,000 for the entire night, while the rehearsal dinner cost $400 because they chose the most basic and inexpensive options possible. While we appreciated their help, their contributions didn't give them free rein to ignore our wishes or hijack the day. I've been questioning myself. Was I too harsh when I called out my mother-in-law and father-in-law? Did I cross a line by making it clear I'd alter photos to ensure they matched the vision for my wedding? Some might think I was being petty, but I truly don't believe I was wrong. These are my wedding photos, not hers. If their financial contribution came with strings attached, like trying to control how I manage my photos, they should have made that clear long before the wedding. The truth is, I think my mother-in-law planned this from the start. By choosing to pay for the photographer, she likely thought she could use that as leverage to do what she wanted and stand out in the photos. It wasn't just an innocent mistake. She chose her royal purple dress, over-the-top makeup, and flashy presence to intentionally draw attention to herself. Some might call it a bold move, but to me, it was selfish and completely out of line. Honestly, if she wanted to rebel against a color scheme, she could have gone with something like an all-black funeral-style outfit. At least that would have technically fit with the theme. But no, her goal was to stick out and ensure that everyone noticed her, regardless of how it made the rest of us feel. Now, I'm just trying to move forward. I plan to edit the photos as needed and make sure my wedding album reflects the day the way I envisioned it. I've even considered doing something funny, like editing one photo so everyone is dressed in purple and sending it to her as a joke. My husband and I might not hang a group photo with her in it over our bed, but we'll laugh at the ridiculousness of her antics whenever we look at those pictures. Of course, I'm aware that some might find this whole situation exhausting. Maybe they'd argue I should have let it go and not micromanaged the color scheme. But I don't think setting expectations for a once-in-a-lifetime event like your wedding makes you a control freak. Mother-in-law's actions were designed to provoke, and while I could have ignored her, she didn't just push boundaries, she stomped all over them. In the end, I've learned to pick my battles. My wedding day wasn't about her, and my focus is now on cherishing the good moments and the love I share with my husband. The drama will fade, but the memories we created, minus the purple dress drama, will last forever. I wanted to do something special for my niece Kimberly on her birthday. At first, I planned to get her a Chromebook because her old laptop had broken and I knew her mom, my sister Stephanie, couldn't afford to replace it. But then I thought about how much Kimberly loves gaming and how she's never really had the chance to own something like that. I decided it would be nice to spoil her for once since she rarely gets anything extravagant. So instead of a Chromebook, I bought her a gaming laptop as a birthday gift. Kimberly was thrilled, and it felt good to see her so happy. However, things took a sharp turn when my other sister, Angela, called me a few days later. She was furious and accused me of playing favorites. She said it wasn't fair that I gave Kimberly such an expensive gift while only giving her son Peter a pair of shoes for his birthday. Angela even pointed out that I spend more time with Kimberly than I do with her kids, Shirley and Peter. The thing is, it's not about favoritism, it's about circumstances. Kimberly comes from a struggling household. Stephanie is doing her best as a single mom but can't afford many extras for her daughter. Angela's family, on the other hand, is well off. Her kids have everything they need and more, but they're also a little spoiled. I find it easier and more enjoyable to spend time with Kimberly because she genuinely appreciates the attention, while Shirley and Peter tend to take things for granted. Over the past few days, Angela has taken this issue to our extended family and even aired her grievances on Facebook. She's been calling me names and making me out to be the bad guy for getting Kimberly a gaming laptop. According to her, I'm heartless and an idiot for treating the kids unequally. It's frustrating because I didn't intend to hurt anyone. I just wanted to do something nice for my niece who rarely gets a chance to have anything special. I understand where Angela is coming from in one sense. Kids don't look at situations like this with an adult perspective. They won't think about the financial struggles Kimberly's family faces compared to their own privileged lives. Instead, they'll see that their cousin got something amazing while they didn't, and that could hurt their feelings. I get that, but I also feel like Angela is missing the bigger picture here. If she's so concerned about fairness, why hasn't she stepped up to help Kimberly herself? She has the resources to do so, yet she's angry at me for doing what she hasn't. The way I see it, this isn't about favoritism. It's about recognizing need. Kimberly's life is different from her cousin's because her mom can't afford the luxuries that Angela's kids take for granted. I stepped in to give her something she wouldn't have otherwise, and I don't think that's wrong. Angela could easily do the same thing if she wanted to, but instead of helping, she's more focused on criticizing me. That said, I do recognize that kids often don't understand concepts like fairness or privilege. They just see one cousin getting more attention and a more expensive gift, and it can feel unfair to them. In hindsight, I probably should have handled things differently. Maybe I could have balanced things by giving Shirley and Peter something thoughtful too, even if it wasn't as big as the gaming laptop. I didn't mean to make anyone feel left out, but I also won't apologize for wanting to support my niece in a way that her mom can't. Angela's anger feels misplaced. Instead of getting upset with me, maybe she should think about how Kimberly feels when she sees her cousins always having nice things that she can't have. If Angela truly cared about fairness, she could help Kimberly too, instead of expecting me to fix everything. At the end of the day, my goal was to make Kimberly feel special and give her something she deserved but couldn't get on her own. I hope someday Angela and her kids can understand that it wasn't about playing favorites, it was about doing something kind for someone who needed it most. I'm a 32-year-old woman and part of a friend group that meets for dinner about twice a month. There are usually 7 to 9 of us, depending on everyone's schedules. We take turns choosing restaurants we want to try, and most of the time, we all have similar tastes. Last year, one of my friends, Linda, asked if her friend Jennifer could join us. Jennifer had just moved to our city, and Linda thought it would be a nice way for Jennifer to make friends and settle in without feeling too much pressure. Jennifer turned out to be really nice and funny, and she's now close friends with all of us. However, Jennifer has a pretty serious seafood allergy. Not just shellfish or fish, but all seafood. While it's not life-threatening, she does break out in hives. So far, this hasn't been a problem since we live in the North Dakota, where there aren't a lot of seafood restaurants. We tried a few before Jennifer moved here, but none were worth going back to. 2 months ago, a new sushi place opened up. My husband and I tried it, and it was amazing. Later, we went again on a double date with another friend and her husband, and they loved it too. When it was my turn to pick our group's next dinner spot, I suggested the sushi place. A few friends were excited to try it, but Linda reminded us about Jennifer's allergy and asked if I could pick somewhere else. Unfortunately, this sushi restaurant doesn't have many non-seafood options. They offer a few appetizers like dumplings and edamame, but nothing that would make a full meal for Jennifer. So, I changed my pick to another restaurant that everyone, including Jennifer, could enjoy. The next week, I asked the friends who were interested in the sushi place if they wanted to go there with me outside of our regular group dinners. They agreed, and a small group of us went. It wasn't part of our normal dinner schedule, just a casual outing. But somehow, word got around that we'd gone to the sushi place without inviting everyone. Linda, Jennifer, and another friend were upset. They felt like we were purposely excluding people. From my perspective, though, this isn't middle school. We're allowed to hang out in smaller groups outside of our full group dinners. Since Jennifer has a seafood allergy, it wouldn't make sense for her to attend a meal at a sushi restaurant anyway. Our regular group dinners are still happening, but this was a one-time thing with a smaller group. I tried to explain that it wasn't about excluding anyone, especially not Jennifer. It's just that sometimes smaller groups form for specific outings like this one. I wasn't trying to hurt anyone, I just wanted to enjoy a meal at a restaurant I love with friends who could eat there. I could have insisted on going to the sushi place with the whole group from the start, but I didn't. I changed my choice to accommodate Jennifer's seafood allergy. Later, I went to the sushi place with a few friends who wanted to try it. Now Linda and Jennifer are upset, saying I went behind their backs and created division in the group. It's turned into a big mess, with people taking sides and pointing fingers. In my opinion, I'm not in the wrong. I picked a different restaurant for our main group dinner so everyone, including Jennifer, could enjoy it. The sushi outing wasn't part of the group's scheduled dinners. It was just a casual meal with a few friends who were interested. They can't expect me to completely avoid seafood forever just because one person in the group has an allergy. Linda seems more like Jennifer's mom than her friend in this situation. Jennifer is an adult and can decide for herself if she wants to join or sit out when we choose a seafood restaurant. That said, I also understand why Linda wanted to stand up for Jennifer. Jennifer is new to the city, and Linda invited her to join our dinner group to help her make friends. It's nice of Linda to look out for her and make sure Jennifer doesn't feel like a burden to a group of people she doesn't know very well. But this whole situation has blown out of proportion. It's ridiculous that people are upset just because a few of us wanted sushi and went to get it without the entire group. As I said before, this is a middle school. Friends are allowed to do things in smaller groups outside of the main group without it being a big deal. There was no intention to exclude anyone or cause drama. It was just a simple meal with friends.